Hi everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this poncho here. So it is a sleeved poncho, as you can see, but it's a bit different than the normal sleeved poncho. It doesn't usually sleeve ponchos, well, a lot of the time, not all the time. They'll start out here and you get like a swancho type thing. I have those on my channel, but you know what, this one's a little different. This one I started decreasing here, we go down. So it's very beautiful. I like it a lot. I worked pretty hard on it. It took me a little while to get it finished. I will tell you how to make the neck bigger, the multiple that you need. I will also tell you how to make it a 4-point, but if you make it a 4-point, you will not be able to add the sleeves. The sleeves have the ribbing, as you can see, and it does have the same design all the way down. The sleeves all match up, see that, all the way down, even from where I split off and started decreasing here at the corners. If I didn't decrease, it was going to flare, so I had to decrease. And I tell you that you can make it longer or shorter, or just to fit your style. It is color controlled. The sleeves are highly color controlled there. I do go over that with you in case you get a yarn that you need to color control, but I like it. Let's do it. Hi everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel. So today, do you guys want to learn how to make this poncho here? The one you saw me wearing in the pictures? It's super cool. It's super pretty. So this is my empty spaces poncho. I do have a empty spaces shawl to match. I generally have a poncho to match all my shawls. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So here you can see it is a pretty easy 4-row repeat. We got some ridges. We got some little bitty tiny puffs there, some chain spaces and whatnot. So and then this one does have sleeves. They are tapered down with the same stitch and then off into ribbing on the sleeves. This is a poncho with sleeves, but I wouldn't really call it like a normal one, because a lot of them would they would just add the cuff to it at the end, and you kind of have like bat wingy things here. I have ponchos like that, that's no big deal. This one I actually started the sleeves higher and decreased down the sides to make it fit the body better. It was kind of hardcore, but I did get, not hardcore to do this, I kept messing up, but I did get it figured out for everybody that wants to make it. Now you can make it longer than mine. If you see me wearing it, I am 5'3". I would say this is pretty much one size fits most as far as the size, but I tell you how you can make, where you can make the sleeves longer if you want to, and you can make how to make this part longer if you want to. Other than that, I will tell you how you can adjust the neckline. This is a 2-point poncho. You see it's got the 2 points and then the sleeves. Now I will tell you how you can make the neck bigger if you want. If you're making, that's up to you. If you want to make it bigger, you can make it bigger. I tell you how to do it. I also tell you how to make it a 4-point poncho if you'd rather have a 4-point. But if you do make it a 4-point, you will not be able to add sleeves to it. It will just be a 4-point poncho. But I still give you that option if that's something that you're interested in. So, do you want to go ahead and get started on it? All right, let's do it. All right, for this particular poncho, I use Lamb brand Scarfy. It is a bulky number 5, but it's a thin bulky number 5, so I think a 4-weight would work just as well, or a thin bulky 5. See, it's not very thick. In case you don't want to use this yarn, it is an acrylic wool blend. You don't have to use this yarn. You can use any yarn you want, because I did tell you how to adjust the neck size. So if you want to use a even smaller yarn, have at it. We just have to figure out when and where to adjust the sleeves. But for the color I use is called Blue Cream. You can use any color that you want. There's 312 yards or 285 meters per ball, and I did use pretty much all. A little bit left, not a lot. A little bit left for my size. Of 4 balls. So that's about what I got left. All right. So if you're gonna make it longer or anything like that, you might need to pick up another ball. All right, so that's the yarn that I used. And then the hook size is, we got a J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. All right, let's do it. All right, so following along with me, I'm going to be starting out with a chain of 76, and then I'm going to be slip stitching into the first stitch without twisting our chain and forming one large ring with which will make the neck hole. So just like that. Now I'm going to show you real quick how you can change sizes of your neck hole. If you're making it for an adult, I never advise against making changes to the neck hole, because as the poncho gets bigger, the weight of the poncho stretches the neck. But some people really want to change the size. Maybe they do want it. They prefer a larger neck or a smaller neck, or they want to make it for a child. So I decided on my ponchos from now on, I'll show you how you can get that number to change the beginning chain, which is your neck hole. So every poncho that I do, it's going to have a specific stitch multiple, and this is a 2-point poncho. So there's going to be 1 point here and 1 point here. So that means you got to have a set amount of stitches on this side and a set amount of stitches on this side, and they have to be the exact same amount because this side mocks this side or vice versa. So for this particular poncho that I'm doing, it just needs to be an odd number of stitches on each side. So I did 37 on one side and then 37 on the other, which would bring us a total of 74 stitches, but I started with 76. So I have 37 and 37, which equals 74, and then you have to add two more for those 2 points, and that's how you come up with your starting chain for this particular poncho. This is how it pretty much works for all ponchos, but remember, including a 4-point, if you were doing a 4-point, you would add 4 more to your number, and you'd have to have equal amounts on each row. So, if you wanted this particular poncho, I'm sorry for explaining this, but a lot of people like to know. If you wanted this particular design, but you wanted it in a 4-point poncho, then you would do 4 points here, and then you would have to have odd numbers equally in between the 4 points. So your chain account for a 4-point may not be exact for the chain account for a 2-point, but that's okay. Just make sure you have an odd number between if you're trying to make this exact poncho that I'm doing a 4-point, or make it bigger or smaller. Remember, you need odd numbers evenly spaced out between your 4 points. So we'll go with 19 on this one, and that would be 19 between the 4 points. 19 4 times, it's 76. And then you would have to add 1, 2, 3, 4 more for the 4 points. So that would give you an 80 starting chain if you wanted a 4-point poncho. 76 for the 2-point. All right. And I'm doing the 2-point. Now remember, if you want to make it smaller, do it in the same method that I just showed you here. Only you would just use smaller numbers. Just make sure they're odd and they're exactly the same on both sides, and don't forget to add your 2 points. If you're making it 4-point and you want it smaller or bigger, make sure that it's equally, and the odd number is equal on all 4 sides. Add it up, and then don't forget to add your 4 points to that number. All right, I just wanted to show that for those who always ask. I'm going to start telling. So this one requires an odd number between the points. All right, let's begin. So we started our slip stitch here. And like I said, I started with a chain of 76 because I'm working a 2-point poncho because I will be putting sleeves on this. It's going to be a swancho. All right. So we're going to start off and we're going to chain 1. I started by this dark yarn here. It will go to a different color. What we're going to do is go back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to single crochet. And we're going to work around our chain, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in every single stitch all the way around, making sure not to twist your chain. Now what I do to make sure I don't twist my chain is make sure that you're always going into the front side of your work. See, I'm single crocheting in the front of my stitches. I do have a video on how to make sure, but see, this is the front. I'm single crocheting 1 single crochet in the front of my stitches. I want to make sure that my chain doesn't get twisted and I start working in the back, because then when you get back around, you'll have a twisted up mess. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around. This would be row 1 of the poncho. All right, and when you make it back around, if you're following along with me, you still should have your 76 chains. All right, I'll meet back up with you when I finish out this row of single crochet. All right, so I made it around and I have my 76 stitches and I did not twist my chain. Hooray! So I'm going to go ahead in round 1 by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do real quick. So go ahead and pull that up so you don't lose your spot. We're going to mark off the spot for our points. Okay, so I'm just going to use a couple stitch markers. This is just for reference. I generally don't use stitch markers, but I'm going to show you guys how you can use them. So our first point is going to go right here where we just slip stitched. So for visual purposes of a tutorial, I'm going to put a marker in that spot just so I know that is where my first point is going to be. Now for me, we'll come back to here. I did 30, my calculations was 76. That was for 37 on each side, not counting those 2 points. So not counting this very first point here, not counting that one, I have to count over 37 stitches. So here's the first point, the one after I start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 36. There's 37. Now in the next one, after the 37, we put another stitch marker. That way we have 37 stitches, which is an odd number, which is what we need, between our 2 points. That way you know when you get down to here where the stitch marker is, that's where we need to put our point. So you should have, if you're following along with me, you should have 37 stitches that remain on the other side. Okay, I do, not counting this one where we are starting our next point. So 37 on each side, and that is not counting the 2 that we put our stitch marker in. Same goes for if you change the size. If you have a different odd numbers on each side, mark off whatever numbers, that's what you should have on each side. Same goes for the 4 point. So you're doing a 4 point and you want 19 on each side. Make sure there is 19 between the points where you put the stitch markers. We don't count the stitch markers as a stitch. There has to be an odd number equally distributed around, whether you do 2 point or 4 point. All right, I won't bring that chart out anymore. Okay, now we're going to start row 2. So I'm going to pull this marker out now, because I know that my first point needs to go here where I just slip stitched. Now, if you're anything like me, I am not a big fan of seams. Now, if I can prevent seams in any way at all, I will. So I can prevent the seams appearing on this poncho by working half of the first point in the back first, and then when I make it all the way around, I'll finish out the other half. All right, that way there's no slip stitching involved over, you know, 2-3 times to get to the chain space to start again. That gets pretty, you know, seamy after a while. So let's try not to make a seam here. So this is how we're going to start our points. So we're in the where I just slip stitch, and this is going to be point number 1. We're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. So our point is going to consist of 2 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 2 double crochets on this round. But I'm only going to work half of it. So I'm just going to work 2 double crochets into this very first stitch. All right. Now remember, I only do this to eliminate the seam that the poncho will have. If I was to put the whole point in here, I'd be slip stitching here, and then there'd be a bunch of slip stitches to get over, and it would just look better not to do that. Right? So this is just half the point. 2 double crochets in that first stitch. Now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the next point, which will be my front point. All right, and in the front point we will do a complete point there, because there, you know, that does not end the round, it's the front point. So I'm working 1 double crochet in every stitch till I get to my stitch marker. Now it should be, not counting these 2 double crochets that we just did for the point, it should be 37 stitches if you're following along with me, when you make it to your stitch marker. Now don't work into the stitch marker. I'll meet back up with you when we get to the stitch marker. All right. All right, so I've made it to my next stitch marker, and I do have 37 stitches. And remember, we don't count those 2 double crochets that we put in the very first stitch as half of our back point. We don't count those. So I do have 37, and I made it to my front point. So we can go ahead and remove that stitch marker. We don't need that anymore. All right. So in this front point, we are going to do the complete point. We're going to work 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And then we're going to work a chain of 2, and then we're going to go back into the exact same stitch and work 2 more double crochets. So that point was 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, all into the exact same stitch. Now what we have to do is mirror the side. So this side has to look like this side. So we continue and we put 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the end where we need to finish out that point. So it should be 37 stitches on this side, not counting the points, if you're following along with me. All right, so I'm going to continue around doing a double crochet in every stitch, and I'll move back up a few when I make it back around to where we need to finish our back point. All right, I have made it to the back point where we just did half of it in the beginning. Now we're going to finish the other half. So we're going to go back into the same stitch, and we're going to work 2 double crochets because that's the other half of our point. Now instead of working a chain of 2, we're going to half double into that first double crochet that we made, and that's going to act like our chain 2 space. Now when we start round 3, we can start right in the middle of the chain space. If I had done the complete point here, 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles in the beginning, we would have ended here, and we would have to slip stitch over, and it just let it look kind of messy, and you know, this just looks cleaner. If you can make it look cleaner and seamless, why not? But if this is too, you know, some people find this difficult, and if you do, feel free to just do the full point here of 2 doubles, chain 2 in the beginning, 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. But then when you make it back around, you'll have to do some slip stitching to get to the middle So I find this cleaner, excuse me, and easier. Now, at this point, if you count all your stitches, you should have 6 more stitches than you did when you started. So I had 76 when I started. So I have 82 all the way around. That's not counting our chain 2 spaces, all right? This half double counts as a chain 2 space. So not counting those 2 spaces, you should have 6 more stitches. This is the only row that you will have 6 more stitches. All the rest, you're going to have 8 because we'll be increasing by 8. And I know some people will say, well, you know, you did put 4 stitches at this point and 4 stitches at this point. I did. But the reason why there's only 6 is because we have to account for the stitch that we put those in. That takes away one of the stitches, if that makes sense, on each side. That leaves us a 6th increase. Now, that's the only row that has a 6 inch increase. So I have 82 stitches now. All right. 1, 2. Now, I told you how to change sizes. I told you how we're going to do it seamless. I told you how that row will only have 6 increase. Now we're going to start the repeat row of the poncho. This row 3 starts the repeat, and it will always have an 8 row increase from the previous row. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off in the back here, and we're going to chain 1. Now remember, we're only doing half of the point in the back, so we're going to do 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. Now we're going to work a back post double crochets all the way until we get to our chain 2 space down here. So we can't forget this very first one that we worked our half double crochet into. It counts, all right? So we have to go around and we have to do a back post double crochet into that one. Sorry about that. It's a little bit harder of one because you have a chain 1 there and a double crochet. It's not really hard. It's just, you know, you got it. See, if I got it, you got it. And now we're going to work a back post double crochet into every single stitch until we get to our next chain 2 space. Because we got, and remember, this row 3 starts the repeat row of the poncho. Now the reason why we're doing the back post double is because it's creating a ridge on the front side of our work. Added texture. You'll probably be able to see it better when this yarn changes over here to another color, but for now I can see it pretty well. So I'm working 1 back post double in every stitch, and I will meet back up with you when we make it to the next chain 2 space, and that will be the front point of our poncho. Just like that. So see how that looks? See if this ridge right here we won't work in, it's just decorative. So when we start working again, we'll be working back here. All right, but I'll go over that in a little bit, but that's what that's doing, creating a decorative ridge. All right, I'll meet back up with you at the front point here at this chain 2 space. Back post double crochet all the way until you get to here. All right, now I'm at the front point, and you can see I did a back post double crochet all the way up to every stitch until we got to our chain 2 space. Now in the chain 2 space, since this is our front point, we're going to complete the whole point. So we're going to do a chain two double crochets, I'm sorry, in that chain 2, and then we're going to do a chain 2 again, and we're going to go back into the same spot, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into that. So that's how we complete the front point of our poncho. Now we're going to start off again. Remember, we got to mock sides here, so we're going to start off. Don't forget this very first stitch, because sometimes he does tend to hide depending on what stitches you've put. Back post double crochet around him, and then a back post double crochet around every single stitch until you get to the last point where we only the point on the back where we first started and we only put half the point, we're going to finish that one out, all right? So back post double into every stitch until we make it back to our back point, and we'll finish that up. And I do want to mention that if you feel like your poncho is looking funny with these post stitches and whatnot, it's okay. It probably will look funny. Some projects look funny until the last row. I just ask that you trust me, no matter how funny it looks, to the very end. As long as you keep track of your stitches and you always have the same number of stitches that I say that you're supposed to have, no matter how funny it looks, if you have that correct number of stitches, it will turn out in the end. Because like I said, sometimes people will stop after a few rows because it's looking funny. Things look funny after a few rows. Things will look funny sometimes until the end. Things will be all crooked and flippy, and then the designer will add a few extra rows at the end and straighten it all out, and it looks perfect. So as long, not just with me, with anybody, as long as you have the correct number of stitches that the person that you're watching, if they give the stitch count, says, you're good, no matter how funky it looks. Just trust. I hope that you trust me enough to know that if it looks funny, but you still have the same number of stitches that I say, just trust me that in the end, I'm going to make it look normal, okay? I promise. Just trust me. But remember, you got to have the number of stitches that I say. All right, I'm going to continue doing a back post double crochet in every stitch until I get to the back point. All right, so I'm coming to the end of round 3, which is our first repeat row. And I've made it to my chain 2 space right here at the end. Remember where we just did half of the point here on the back? I've done my back post double crochets up to it. Now we're going to finish it out by going into that same space, and we're going to work 2 double crochets. There's 1 and 2. And then we're going to end this back point by working a half double crochet into the very first double crochet of the point. And that is going to count as a chain 2 space, and we are finished. Now we can work directly right here when we start our next round. No slip stitching, no seams or anything. No seams. It's going to be clean. All right. All right. Now remember, from here on out, you will have 8 more stitches than you did the previous row. So if you're following along with me, we had 82 all the way around on the last row. So this time we'll have 8 more, so we'll have a total of 90 stitches. Remember, that does not count these chain 2 spaces, not counting them. We're just counting the stitches. All right, so this is what it's looking like so far. Remember, if it's all floofy and bumpy, trust me. All right, you got the same stitch count, you just got to trust me. It'll be okay. All right, so now we're going to start round 4. So in this chain space here, this is where we're going to work. We're going to chain 1, and remember, we only do half of the point here in the back, so we just worked 2 double crochets, and then we'll finish it when we get to the end. Okay, now we're going to start our next stitch. Now this next particular stitch, normally when you work it on the front, it would pop out little bobbles in the back. We don't want the bobbles to be in the back. We want them to be in the front. So we're going to do a little bit of manipulation on them so they stay in the front. All right. So we're going to start off first with a single crochet right here in this very first stitch that we half double crocheted into. We can't forget that. We're going to single crochet into that stitch. Now the next stitch we're going to do a triple crochet. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to go into that stitch and triple crochet like that, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next. Now normally when I would single crochet in the next, it would pop that little poof on the back. Well, we don't want it on the back. We want it on the front, don't we? So I'm going to show you what you can do. So you take that triple. It's very easy. Just fold it in half to the front like that and hold it there. And then single crochet into the next stitch. And now that guy is not going to pop to the back. We just manipulated him to stay to the front very easily. So let's go ahead and do that again. We're going to triple crochet into the next. Oops, sorry. Slipped off my hook. All right, so we gotta trick this guy, all right? So we just take him, push him up to the front like that, and just hold him there with your thumb or something, and then just single crochet into the next stitch. Now he's stuck in the front. He can't pop back out to the back. Well, if he behaves, he won't go back. He should stay right where he's he'll stay. He should stay right where he's at. Let's do it again. Triple crochet into the next. That. Take this triple crochet, push it to the front, use your thumb and hold him there, and single crochet into the next, and now he has to stay in front. So see that? We don't want them in the back. We want that pretty texture in the front. And we're going to repeat this all the way to the end. So triple crochet in the next. Take that triple crochet, fold him in half, hold him captive there, and single crochet into the next stitch. And there he is. He is on the front of your work instead of the back. And that's how you do it. You can actually manipulate most stitches like bobbles and whatnot. They're worked. When you work them like this, they appear on the back side. There's a way to manipulate bobbles and puffs and everything to where you can work them on the front side. And they'll pop out on the front. Not this particular way, but there is a way. Maybe I will show you that in another video. But for now, we're just making this triple crochet. Stay in the front. So here's a triple crochet again. Push him to the front. Hold him down and single crochet into the next like that. And now he can't escape the front row. That looks good. So we're going to repeat this all the way down. Triple crochet, make sure you hold him so he can't move, and then single crochet into the next. Oops. What is it with me and that triple today? It's not working out for me. It's giving me grief. All right, and then the single crochet in the next, just hold him there in front. Pull it I kind of just pulled a little bit tighter there, and single crochet. There he is in the front. Not where he wants to be, but that, by gosh, that's where he's going to stay. He ain't used to being there. He's used to being worked in the back. Not this time, little puff. Not on my watch. Hold him down. Pull your yarn a little tight, I guess. You don't have to, but. And then single crochet into the next. There you go. And that's some nice texture there. It's an easy way to make a nice little pup that doesn't take it doesn't take really very much yarn. Triple crochets are actually one of the least yarn eaters there are. So we're going to repeat this pattern of the triple crochet, single crochet, repeat. Make sure you hold that triple crochet down in the front before you do your single crochet, so he stays put. You stay put. All right, all the way down. And if I calculated right, hopefully I did, we should end in a single crochet at our last stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at our chain 2 space. All right. All right, so I've made it. I calculated correctly. Should have ended in a single crochet here. Now in this chain 2 space, we're going to, this is the front point, we're going to do our full point, which is 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. Here we go. Now we need to just mirror this side with this side. So if we ended in a single crochet, we have to start in a single crochet. So single crochet into our next stitch. And then we're going to do our triple crochet manipulation. That's what I call it. Triple crochet like this. And then hold him there. Hold him down so he can't move. You know. Just trying to show you up close. Just take him and bend him in half and just hold him there. And single crochet in the next stitch. And there he is to stay. Alright, so I'm just repeating what I did on the other side until we get to our last stitch before our back chain 2 space. And again, that should be a single crochet as well. See, I'm just doing the same thing I did all the way to here. This will be a single crochet. I'll meet up with you here and we'll finish out this point back here. All right, so I made it to the end of row 4 and I'm coming to where I have to finish out this point. So I'm going to go, I ended in a single crochet there. So I'm going to go ahead and in this space, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. I'm going to end with a half double crochet into the top of my first stitch. Ends row 4. You should have 8 more stitches than you did the previous row. Just go ahead and start row 5. We're going to chain 1. We're going to work back into this stitch and we're going to do half of our back point. So it's 2 double crochets like that. Now we are going to do, let's see here. We are going to double crochet into the next stitch. So right here where we put that half double, we're going to double crochet into that. And then we're going to do the repeat, double crochet there. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next. So we're skipping this one and double crocheting into the next. Then we're going to chain 1. So we're skipping this poofy stitch here and we're going to double crochet into the next, which is the single crochet in between them. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way down. So we're going to chain 1 and again skip 1, which is the puppy stitch, and we will be double crocheting into the next, which is a single crochet in between the puppies. And this is what we're going to do all the way down. Chain 1, skip 1, double in the next, which is the single crochet between the little poofs. So this part's pretty easy. So so we're going to repeat this pattern all the way down until we get to our next point. All right, so when you make it to your front point here, this chain 2 space, your last stitch should have been a double crochet. We're not going to chain 1 or anything after that. We're just going to directly go into the space and work our 2 double crochets, our chain of 2, and 2 more double crochets. Now remember, we have to do whatever we did on this side. So we're going to, since we ended in a double crochet, we will start off with a double crochet and then we will chain 1 and skip 1 and double into the next, chain 1, skip 1, which is the puff, and double into the next, which is the single crochet between the puffs. So it's the exact same thing we did on the other side. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Remember, you're double crocheting between those little poofy things. Chain 1, or double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and double into the next. So I'm going to repeat this pattern until we get to the end where we have to finish up our point on the back. All right. So I will meet you there in just a second. All right, I'm coming to the end here, and your last stitch again should have been a double crochet, and now we're at our chain 2 space. We have to finish out this back point by working 2 double crochets and then a half double crochet into the top of the first one, and that acts as our chain 2 space. There we go. That ends round 5. All right, now round 6. If you count all the stitches plus the chain 1 spaces, not the chain 2 spaces, all the double crochets and the chain 1 spaces, not the 2 points, you'll have 8 more stitches than you did the previous round. All right, so now we're going to start round 6, which is the final repeat round. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 2 double crochets here. So we're working half of our point. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch and 1 in each one of the chain 1 spaces. So we got to go right back here. Remember to always go into the first one as the one we have double crocheted into. Can't forget that, otherwise our count will be wrong. And I'm going to work across, putting 1 double crochet in every stitch, and in the chain 1 space, just go right through the space, and put a chain 1 or put a double crochet, and then into the next double, and then right through the space, and then into the double, and right through the space. Now we're going to do this until we get to our front point. So it's just a row of double crochet. All right, so I made it down here to my front point, and it always gets the same. 2 doubles, there's 1 and 2, and then a chain of 2, and 2 more doubles right back into that same chain space. And then we start again, working the same thing on this side that we did on this side, which is 1 double crochet in every stitch and in each of the chain 1 spaces. You just go right through the space and double crochet. And we do this until we get to the end of the row. All right, I've made it to the end, and here's the chain 2 space. So we need to finish out this point in the back by putting 2 double crochets into it, and then ending with a half double crochet into our first double, and that counts as our chain 2 space, and that ends the repeat. You should have 8 more stitches than you did the previous row. And now we start again. So we're just going to keep repeating rows 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's a 4-row repeat. It's very easy. So for row 3, we would start with this back post double crochet row. So again, we would just chain 1, go back into our chain space here, and we'd work 2 doubles, just half of the point in the back side here, and then we would start by working a back post double crochet in every stitch. Remember to get this first one, and we want to do this in every stitch around. So we're just repeating row 3, and then we'll repeat row 4, row 5, and row 6. Now if you do not want to put sleeves on this, you just keep repeating these rows for as long as you need it to be, as long as you want it to be. It doesn't matter. If you want to put sleeves on it, I will continue here in just 1 second. Well, a second for you. Quite a bit longer for me. I'll let you know how many rows, what row I stop out, and how to start adding the sleeves to it. How's that sound? Okay? All right. So just keep repeating rows 3, 4, 5, and 6. In just 1 second, I'll tell you where I ended, and we'll add some sleeves if you want to. If not, you just keep going till you get to the length that you want it to be. All right. Pretty. All right, see you in a second. Okay, so I'm going to show you where I'm at, and I'm going to try something different. See, and only hopes that it works out, right? That's all you can do if you want to try something different. So here's where I'm at. So I have done 6 complete repeats. So if you look at the top, here's my first row of ridges, the back post double crochet, which started the repeat row. And then, so that would be up to here would be 1, and this second one would start the second repeat row. This would be the third repeat row. This ridge would be the fourth repeat row. This ridge would be the fifth repeat row, and this ridge would be the sixth repeat row, ending in the double crochet row, which ends the repeat. So I've done a total of 6, starting at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 complete repeat rows. So you should have 6 ridge rows, and then after that 6th ridge, you complete the repeat of the ridge row, the little poof row, the chain stitch row, and then the double crochet row, and that completes the repeat. Now we're going to mark off for some sleeves. All right. So I know it's not extremely long yet, so I was going to try something different. Okay, so we're going to do some counting. And these numbers got to be kind of precise. All right, so make sure we count correctly. Now, we're going to be working, we're going to do one side and then the other side of the point. So on one side, from this is my back chain 2 space, to, I tied off, after my 6th row, I just chain 2, ended with a slip stitch into my first double crochet, and then I tied off. I was out of yarn anyway, so but now what we're going to do is we're going to work both sides the same, but I'm going to mark them separately. So starting from this chain space, do not count the chain space. This is the one in the back. Starting with this stitch all the way up, around, and all the way back around to the front side. So not counting the chain 2 space, you should have 137 stitches between the back chain space and the front chain space on one side, and then on the other you should have the same amount total, 137 altogether, all the way around on both sides. That's including up around, back down, and back here. We don't count the chain 2 space, only the doubles. So 137 on this side, and then 137 on this side. So what we're going to do is you're going to need a couple stitch markers. I'm just going to use a piece of yarn, and we're going to count up. So we need to make sure we got our numbers correct here, because we're going to have different multiple for the sleeve than we are a different multiple for down here. Plus we're going to be doing some decreasing, and they all need to be extremely accurate. Okay, so make sure you got your 137 stitches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to count 45 stitches for the sleeve, but what we're going to do is we're going to start from down here. So like I said, if we have the 140 or 137 stitches all the way around, and I'm going to count 45 for the sleeve. We're going to start down here on this side first. I have the back side of my work facing me, whichever is your back side. I guess wherever you tied off, doesn't really matter. They kind of look the same. If we count 45 for the sleeve, that leaves us with a total of 92 stitches. That's counting both sides. All right. So and we need to divide that by 2, which would be 46. All right. So follow along with me and start here with your chain 2 space. And not counting that chain 2 space, count up 46 stitches. All right. Okay, there's 46. Now in the 47th one, put a marker. All right. I can't find my red hook, so it's in the other room. but I still am using a J. All right, put a marker in that 47th stitch, but don't like tie it, because we're going to mark another spot to it. Now we're going to do the other side down here. Flip it up, and we're going to mark off 46 stitches as well. Now this is the front side of your work, but it's still, as you can see, pull it back here, we're still working on the same side of the poncho. All right, both sides will be worked the same. So I did this back side here, or front side, or whatever, this side. I marked it up. I counted 46 stitches, and then I put a marker at the 47th. So I'm going to flip it up over here on the other side, and starting at this chain 2 space, I'm going to count up 46 stitches. And then in the 47th, put your hook in it, and then grab the one over here that has a marker, put your hook in it. So you got both of them, 47th stitch on each side on your hook. Pull your marker out, and then pull it through both of those, and then tie your marker on there so it doesn't come undone. All right, a marker, however you use a marker, like that. See that? So now you should have 46 down at this side. 46, not counting the mark spaces, to your chain 2 space, and 46 over here to your chain 2 space, not counting the chain 2 space. Now it's very important that you have those numbers. Now when you count your sleeve hole, you need to count the stitch that the stitch markers, count both stitches that the stitch markers in, and all the way around you should have 45. So 1, 45, counting the one that's in the stitch marker, both of them. All right, it's very important. Counting those 2 stitches that are in the stitch marker, and all the other ones, you should have 45. All right, and then not counting the stitch markers, 46 on this side, 46 on this side. All right, and we're going to do the same thing that we just did over here on the other side. We're going to mark off the sleeve over here the exact same way. So we're going to count up 46 stitches, put your marker in the 47th, and then you do this one, 46 stitches, put your marker in the 47th, and then mark them together and tie them, and then you'll have 45, counting the marked stitches. All right, it's very important that you have those numbers. I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the other side. Okay, so I got both my sides of my armhole marked off. All right, so we're not going to be dealing with any of these stitches that are in the stitch marker right now. All right, all of these are just out of the picture. So we're going to start. We're still going to be working around. We're going to be working like this way now, just, and then to the point, and then back around to this point, and then back around to our starting point. We're just bypassing these places that we started our sleeve hole. Okay, let's see what we are going to do first. We got to try to keep okay, we're going to start off with one, two, three, the third stitch over. Here's the front side. Here's the front of my work. This is the back of my work. Okay. We don't count the one that our stitch markers in, all right? That one's off limits. So 1, 2, 3, starting that third one. And we are going to chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet 2 together but we have to keep with the repeat of the pattern, so it has to be done in the back loop. All right, let's do this. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, back post double crochet into that first stitch, draw up a loop, but only go, then yarn over and only draw through the first 2 loops on your hook. And now we're going to go into the next stitch here. We're going to yarn over and back post double crochet. Like that. And we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. That'll leave the 3 loops that remain. We're going to yarn over and go through all 3. So we took 2 stitches, made them into 1, and we did them through the back loop to keep up with the pattern repeat. All right, let's do it again. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to work this stitch here and connect it with the first stitch over here that's not into the stitch marker. All right, here we go. So let's yarn over, back loop a double crochet around that stitch, draw up a loop. Now yarn over and only go through the first 2 loops. Now we're coming over to this side. Now this has to be done kind of tightly, and we're going into the first stitch on this side, back post double crochet, do it kind of tight if you can, and yarn over and just go through the first 2 loops. 3 loops remain, and yarn over and go through all 3. All right, now if you look, it's going to leave a little gap here. That's fine. That's gonna help us out later on whenever we have since we have 45 stitches here, we're gonna need an even number. That 45 is not gonna work out for us, so this is gonna come in handy for us. All right, to make it an even number. Now we're gonna do another double crochet 2 together, because we did 1 on this side and then we did 1 kind of in the middle. Now we're going to do the next 2 stitches, back post double crochet 2 together. So back post double crochet around the next stitch, but just yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and then back post double crochet around the next stitch, and yarn over and go through the first 2, and then we're going to yarn over and go through all 3. So we took 6 stitches and turned them into 3. All right, now let's just go ahead and start working. 1 and back post double crochet in the remaining stitches until we get to our chain 2 space. Like this. So I'm just trying to keep the pattern repeat as close as possible. So we're at our back post double crochet row. All right, I'll meet up with you when we get to the chain right down here to the first chain 2 space. All right, so I've made it to my chain 2 space, and in the chain 2 space we're going to work 2 doubles. There's 1 and 2, and we're going to chain 2, and we're going to work 2 more double crochets just like that. And now we're going to continue working a back post double crochet all the way across the side here until we get, here's where our next armhole is. Remember, we're not doing anything with that right now until we get to, we don't count the stitches that our markers are in. So 1, 2, till we get to 3 from the marker, and then we'll do our decreases over this. I'll call it the armpit area, I guess, where the sleeve's at and where the poncho connects, I guess. All right, we'll just continue our pattern of 1 back post double crochet until we get up there to that point. Alrighty, so I've made it over here to my other armhole, And not counting the stitch that my marker's in, I am 1, 2, 3 before that stitch. So we're going to do a back post double crochet these two together, just like we did on the other side. So we're going to back post double crochet, but we're just going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over and back post double crochet into the next stitch, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, which will leave us 3. Yarn over and go through all 3. So that was our first back post double crochet 2 together. Now our next one comes with this stitch before the stitch marker, and then over here this stitch. We can't go into the ones that have the markers, all right? So make sure. They look a little stretched and they're kind of hard to see, but make sure you don't go into them. So we're going to back post double crochet around this one, and we're just going to yarn over and go through the first 2. And now we're going to flip her over here, and then we're going to go kind of tightly. We're going to into the first one after the stitch marker over here on the other side. We're going to yarn over and back post double crochet around that one, yarn over and go through the first 2. That leaves 3 loops. Yarn over and go through all 3, and we have this gap, which will work to our advantage later, you will see. So that gap is just fine. And now we're going to do one more back post double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches here. So back post double over the next one, but just yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and back post double in the next one, yarn over and go through the first 2, 3 remain, yarn over and go through all 3. So that's the same thing that we did on the other side. We took 6 stitches and we turned them into 3. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to continue now with working 1 back post double crochet into every stitch to continue the repeat, you know, that we've been doing. We don't want to mess up our repeat or our pattern repeat all the way until we get to our next chain 2 space. When we get here, we put 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, so the same as we always do, and then we continue with our back post double crochet in every stitch all the way up this side until we make it right here to where we started. All right, so it says back post double crochets all the way again from right where we are now until we get to our chain 2 space, and then in the space is 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then we continue our back post double crochet until we get where we started our round. All right, okay, I'll meet back up with you at the beginning there. All right, so I've made it back to where I've begun. So here's my first double crochet, back post double crochet 2 together. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that. So all right, now we're going to go again. What we're going to do now is do a single crochet decrease over the next 3 stitches here in the corner. So we're going to start in this very first one. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go into it and drop a loop. We're going to go into the next one, which is the middle double crochet 2 together from the previous row, drop a loop, and the next double crochet 2 together over here, drop a loop, 4 loops, yarn over and go through all 4. That took 3 stitches and made them into 1. Now we're going to try to continue the repeat of the pattern. So we will do a triple crochet into the next stitch like that, and then single into the next. This is our little poof stitch row, so we got to make that triple crochet kind of pop out. All right, and again triple crochet, oops, into the next, and single crochet into the next in the same manner that we did before, keeping that poof to the front there. All right, and we're going to do that until we get up here to our first chain 2 space. All right, so I've come to the corner, or to the chain 2 space, I'm sorry. Now this time, unlike up here, the last stitch before the chain 2 space was a single crochet. Now this time, since we're working in a round and it's an even number, and we're not starting in the chain 2 spaces, it'll end up at the corners at a triple, and that's just fine. So what we're going to do is, we got a triple crochet here with our last stitch, so we're going to go into the corner and we're going to do a double crochet, but kind of pop that triple out as best as you can and hold it there, and then go ahead and do your double into the chain 2 space like that. There we go. And then another double, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. So this is what we're going to do all the way around the whole piece here. We're working our, since we ended with the triple, we have to start with the triple. So triple into that first stitch. Remember, we gotta pop it out a bit, and single into the next. So this is our little bumpy row that we're doing. Triple, single, triple, single, just like we did before when we were working, before we'd put the sleeves, or the sleeve spots on. So I'm going to repeat this pattern, the bumpy row pattern here, all the way across up to here. This is our armpit area. We're just going to work up to here, and I'll meet you right here, and we're going to do a single crochet 3 together over those. So I'll meet up with you when we get up here to this next armpit area. All right, so I have made it here to my armpit area, and you can see we're going to do the same thing here that we did over at the beginning. Here's our 3 double crochet, back post double crochet, 2 togethers from the previous row. We're going to single crochet all 3 of those together. So the stitch before, it should have been a triple crochet. All right, so kind of pop that out if you can. We're going to go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, into the next one, draw up a loop, do it kind of tight, all right? Into the next one, draw up a loop, and you'll have 4 loops on your hook if you want to kind of manipulate that triple crochet to where it pops out. There we go, on the front side. Yarn over and go through all 4 loops. There we go. We did it. All right, and then we're going to continue around in the same manner. So that's our single. So we're going to start out with a triple crochet into the next stitch. Just going to follow our same little bumpy row pattern. Triple crochet, single crochet, triple crochet, single crochet. If you're wondering why, I guess I should have explained it and I didn't do it. If you're wondering why we're decreasing here at the armpit areas, it's so it doesn't stick out quite so much. Doesn't stick out quite so much as it would if we didn't decrease. How about that? Because it's going to stick out a bit, but if we didn't decrease up here in the corner, it would stick out a lot more. So I'm just kind of decreasing it down a bit there so it doesn't have so much of an overhang up here. But anyways, I'm going to continue this. So what I'm going to do is continue this same process of the single crochet, triple crochet repeats all the way down here until we get to our chain 2 space. And remember, this will be a triple crochet your last stitch, and then you do 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then you start with the triple crochet here, and then single crochet, triple crochet all the way back up here to where we started, which is right here. And if we play it right, our last stitch should be a triple crochet, and that's where I'll meet back up with you. All right. Okay, so I've made it back around to my starting point. In my last stitch here before my right here is where we did the 3 together, is a triple crochet. So I'm just going to triple crochet in that last stitch, and right here is the top of our, not triple crochet 3 together, I'm sorry, single crochet 3 together. Right here is the top of it. I know it's kind of hard to see because there's weird stuff going on, but it's right there. So go ahead and go into that, and I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to pop out that triple crochet, that last one we just did, and now in the round like that. Nice. All right, so now what we have to do is our change this row. So we got to keep, I'm just trying to keep in line here with our same pattern that we did up here, down here, past our sleeves. Remember, we're not doing anything with them sleeves just yet. All right, so we are going to chain 1. I'm not going to increase right here or decrease or anything right here. So I'm going to go back into the same spot, and I am going to double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and a double crochet into the next. So we're double crocheting into this next single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, so we're skipping this triple and double crocheting into the next single. So we're still keeping our little poofies between the chain 1 spaces as we did up here. So I'm going to repeat this pattern. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next stitch, which is a single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double into the next. So I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get up to my next, or to my chain 2 space. All right, right up here, and that's where I'll be back up with you. All right, so I'm coming to my chain 2 space, and I did a double crochet, and I have a stitch left before the chain 2 space. What I'm going to do is chain 1, skip that space, and then into the chain 2 space I'm going to work my 2 doubles, chain 2, and then 2 doubles. So that's how we work the chain 2 spaces for this particular row. Again, so we're going to start out on the other side, and we will chain 1, skip that first one, and double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, which is the single. So I'm just going to repeat this pattern now all the way around back to our starting point. When we get to our next chain 2 space, we do the same thing that we just did here, and then continue around putting a double, chain 1, skip 1, double, double, chain 1, skip 1, double, just like this. All right, and then I'll meet back at our starting point. All right, so I've made it back to my starting point. I did a double crochet here. I have 1 stitch left to skip. I want to make sure I chain 1 after that, and I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. All right, so we didn't do any decreasing on that row. So our final repeat row of the pattern is the double crochet row. That's where we double crochet in every stitch and in every chain 1 space. I'm going to decrease now. All right, I'm going to decrease on this side, and then when we get back around, I'll be decreasing on this side. All right, so I'm going to start off with a chain 1, and I'm going to do double crochet 3 together. So we have to do it over this stitch, the chain 1 space, and this stitch. All right, so we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go back in that same stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. We're going to yarn over, go into the chain space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, yarn over and go into the next double crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. You'll have 4 loops there on your hook, yarn over and go through all 4. So that was a double crochet 3 together. I'm going to do that one more time. Okay, so we're going to do it this time into this chain space, on top of this double, into this chain space. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, go into the chain space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. You want to do this kind of tight as well so you don't have big gaps. Yarn over and go into the next double crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and yarn over and go into the next chain space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, 4 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 4. So there we did, yeah, we took 6, is that right, 6 stitches and turned them into 2. Pretty good. Yeah. And we're gonna do it over here as well whenever we make it back around to our starting point. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so for now, we're gonna continue with our repeat of putting 1 double crochet. So we went into this stitch right here, see? So 1 double crochet into each double crochet and into each chain space until we get to our chain 2 space. All right, so this is the double crochet row. This is the last row of our repeat row that we were doing up here. 1 double into each double and into each chain space, and I'll meet up with you when we get to our next chain 2 space. All right, I made it to my first chain 2 space, and we're just going to go right into it and work 2 doubles, a chain of 2, and 2 more doubles, and then we will continue the same pattern of 1 double crochet into every stitch and 1 into every chain 1 space, just like this. Okay, and then where I'm going to meet you next is up by the armpit area, because we're going to do those double crochet 3 togethers, but we're going to do it on both sides of the armpit area this time. Last time we just did it on one side because we were starting on that one side, but when we finish we'll do it on the opposite side. But the next armpit area we're coming up to, we have to do it on both sides. So I'm going to repeat this. Double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet into the double crochet all the way, and I will meet up with you. Let's see. We are going to meet up. We're going to meet up. This was 1. This will be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to meet up with you. If you look, right here is our center double crochet. I'm going to meet up with you 1, 2, 3. I'll meet up with you at the 4th chain before our center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our center. Somewhere around this area, I'll meet up with you, okay? And then we'll get it figured out when we get there. Okay, so now we got to do our double crochet 3 togethers, and we're doing 2 on each side of our armpit area. So this is where we're going to start the first one. So if you look closely and find your center double crochet, it's right here. It's right in the same spot as where we did the single crochet 3 together. Count back from that one as number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to start our first double crochet 3 together in this 4th one, counting the center one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's start in that double crochet. we're going to yarn over, go into the double crochet, drop a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the next double crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 4 loops left, yarn over and go through all 4. And you want to do that kind of tight. Now we need to do another one over this chain space, this double crochet, and this chain space. All right, so yarn over and go into the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the double crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 4 loops remain, and yarn over and go through all 4. So we did 2 double crochet 3 togethers on that side, and now we're going to do 2 on this side. So this is kind of how we begun the other armpit area right here. So again, do as tight as you can. We're going to yarn over, go into the next double crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next double crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 4 loops, tight as you can, yarn over and go through all 4. Let's do it one more time. We're going to yarn over and go into the chain space, drop a loop, remember keep it tight if you can, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the double crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go into the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, tight as you can, 4 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 4. There we go. Okay, so we did 4 double crochet 2 togethers. Okay, and remember when we started we did 2 because we only started on one side like I mentioned, but when we make it back around to our starting point, we'll do the other 2 on the opposite side, so we'll have 4 over there as well. All right, now we're just going to repeat our pattern. So we went into the chain space, so we're going to double crochet into the next double crochet like that. Keep it tight there around that armpit area if you can. All right, and then double crochet into the chain 1 space, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space. So we're just going to repeat what we have been doing. We're going to be doing a double crochet into every double crochet and into every chain 1 space all the way up until you get to the chain 2 space. And when you get to the chain 2 space, it's 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then we repeat our pattern of making sure we double crochet into every double crochet and chain 1 space, just like we've been doing. And I will meet back up with you. We're gonna at this chain space, the second chain space before the end. All right, or before we get back to where we started. All right, see you there. All right, so I'm making it back to my beginning here, and we have to do 2 double crochet 3 togethers. So here's where we started. So we got 1 space, 2 space, 3 space. We're going to start, and I double crocheted into this 4th space. So we got 3 empty spaces and a double crochet. So we're going to double crochet 3 together over this double crochet, this space, this double crochet, then this space, this double crochet, this space, and that will bring us right back to where we started. All right, so we're going to start off, we're going to yarn over, go into the double crochet, drop a loop, and you want to do these as tight as possible. Yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go into the next double, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 4 loops remain as tight as possible, go through all 4, and then we got to do 1 more. So we're going to yarn over and go into the space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the double crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go into this last chain space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 as tight as possible, yarn over and go through all 4, and we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet 3 together. Now we can try this on and see if we need to make it longer or not. So I'm gonna go try mine on real quick. Okay, so I tried mine on. I actually think that decreasing up here worked nicely. I mean, I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, if I wouldn't have decreased, it would have sucked out, you know, a lot more. It would have been hanging out. Now, what we can do is, if you want it longer, you can continue that pattern again. All right, I come around and I have 46 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into this first stitch here that we did 2 together. And that is the... There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be doing my increasing or decreasing my sleeve down whenever we get to our double crochet rows. So I'm going to follow the pattern again. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to go back into this same stitch here and I'm going to single crochet. This is the bumpy row. And then I'm going to triple into the next like this. Sorry about my dog barking. And then single crochet into the next and a triple crochet into the next. And I'll repeat this all the way around. And when you get back around to your starting point, your last stitch should be a triple. And you should be able to end with a slip stitch into your first single. And you still should have a 46 stitches. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way around. And I will see you in a second. All right, so I made it back around on my poofy stitch row. My last stitch here was a triple. So I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Kind of push that triple out if you can. Still have 46 stitches. Push that triple out. There we go. All right, now it is the chain space row. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to go back into the same stitch and double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and we'll be double crocheting back in to the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row. We're going to do this all the way around. Chain 1, skip 1, double into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double into the next. All right, I'll meet back up with you right back here where we started. Okay, I'm back. All right, so we tied off here and we're going to start another repeat. Yeah, I found my red hook. I'm switching hooks all throughout the video, but I promise it's been a J the whole time. All right, so in order to make another repeat, like I said, we're going to have to tie off and we're going to have to start. We're going to have to do the same thing again, starting from up here. And do the decreases the same. But this part's very important. Now you try it on, and if you think that these decreases are making it too tied up on you, which I don't think they should, but if you feel like they are, you can do another repeat and not do any decreases at all. Okay, just do it like we did up here, you know, no decreasing. Just go around and do it that way. But I tried mine on and mine's fine. I'm gonna do another repeat row. I'm not sure how many I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do another one now, decreasing again. So we have to do it in the same manner that we did it down here. So the very first row that we did, or the first row of the repeat, is the back post double crochet. And to start off, we did 3 sets of two back post double crochets together. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have to do that again, but we're going to be working them over these double crochet 3 togethers. So be a little bit different, but we can do it. So we're going to start our first one. Remember, we're repeating these 4 rows. Okay? But in order to do that, we have to tie off and start again. Now we're going to start our first back post double crochet 2 together. So remember, we did 3 in a row here at the armpit area. Here's our, we have to back up, okay? Here's where we just tied off. We're going to back it up. Here's our double crochet 3 together, the first one we did. We're going to start in the single double crochet in this double crochet that's, you know, all by itself after that one. All right, so we're going to start our yarn there, and we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a back post double crochet 2 together over this double crochet by itself and this double crochet 3 together. All right, and we need to try to do these as tight as possible around this armpit area. So remember though, if you try it on and you feel like it's getting too tight, just do the repeat rows and don't do any decreasing at all. All right, I just do the decreasing so it doesn't stick out a bunch, you know, when it's going down your side a bit. So I chain 1, and I'm going to do my back post double crochet around the first stitch, but I'm only going to yarn over and go through the first 2 because we're doing a back post 2 together. And then I'm going to go around this big double crochet 3 together from the previous row. So yarn over, back post, go around the very, very top of it like that and squeeze it together, yarn over and pull through. You can do it. Just gotta maneuver it. Try not to get any of the loops from that other one, from the double crochet 3 together on your hook, which I did. Let me just take that off. All right, there we go. Now we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through the remaining 3. All right, so that's 1 back post double crochet 2 together. There we just did. Now we're going to do it again over these 2 double crochet 3 togethers. All right, so yarn over, go around the first one, try to go as close to the top of the stitch as possible and as tight as possible. All right, go through, draw up a loop. Always get the tail in it. A tail. Okay, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then we're going to go around the next double crochet 3 together, but we got this chain 1, get that in there too. Go to the top, pull it nice and tight. Okay, yarn over and go through the first 2 and the remaining 3. All right, there's another back post 2 together, and we did 3 down here, so we got to do 3 up here. So we're going to do it again, and we're going to be doing it around, we just did this one, around this last double crochet 3 together, and then this double crochet here by itself. So yarn over, go back post around this from the previous row, double crochet 3 together, do it as tight as possible, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then around this double crochet that's hanging out, the next one that's by himself, back post, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, 3 remain, as tight as possible, yarn over and go through all 3. All right, so we did that. Now we're going to continue along in the same manner that we did up here, which is 1 back post double crochet. Remember, we already worked in this stitch here, he's stretched out, in every stitch until we get to our chain 2 space. And then when we get to our chain 2 space, we will work 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then we will continue around with our back post double crochet into every stitch all the way around here until we get to our next armpit area, right over here. And then we'll have to decrease the same way over this. So I'll meet back up with you when we get to the first double crochet before our first double crochet 3 together from the previous row. I am like super confusing on this. I don't mean to be, but I want those decreases in the corners so it doesn't stick out so much. So back post double crochet, 1 in every stitch. We're just repeating the repeat that we just did the last 4 rows. Again, decreasing the same way, stitching the same way. And remember, when it's in the chain 2 spaces, it's 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and I'll meet back up with you over at the next armpit area. All right, so I've made it over here to the other armpit area, and we're going to do the same that we just did when we started. So I'm at the stitch before our first double crochet 3 together from the previous row. So we're going to back post double crochet those 2 together, just like we did. So go around that single double crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. And remember, when you want to try to do this as tight as possible. Then we go around this big one here. Back post. Round it. Go through 2 and then go through 3. So there's 1. Back post double crochet 2 together. Now we got to work it over these 2 big ones. Back post them together. Tight as possible. And try to go to the top if you can, and then go to the next one. So we're doing the same thing we did when we first started. On and through all 3. And then we got one more here. This double crochet 3 together from the previous row, and then this double crochet over here who's by himself. And this guy here by himself. All right, there's our 3 back post double crochet 2 togethers, and then we're just going to continue with the same pattern of 1 back post double crochet in every stitch until we make it to our chain 2 space. And in the chain 2 space we do the same, 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then continue the back post double crochet in every stitch until we make it back around to our starting point. And that's where I'll meet back up with you, and we'll start the poofy row again. All right, so I've come to the end here, and I'm going to slip stitch into my first double crochet back post 2 together. And now we're going to start our bumpy row. So now we get to do a single crochet 3 together over this stitch, and this stitch. All right, so we're going to chain 1, we're going to go back into that same stitch, draw up a loop, which is the double crochet back post double crochet 2 together, and then the next one, draw up a loop, and then the next one, draw up a loop. So all 3 of those back post double crochet 2 togethers. Got 4 loops on your hook. Do it as high as you can, yarn over and go through all 4, just like that. And now we are going to start our repeat. So that counts as our first single crochet, and we're going to triple crochet into the next, and single crochet into the next. So this is the bumpy row. Triple crochet in the next, and remember, hold that down in front so it don't pop in the back. Single crochet in the next, all the way until we get to our chain 2 space. Remember, you will end on a triple crochet, and then you do your 2 doubles, chain 2 2 doubles, and then you'll start on a triple crochet, and then you continue the pattern of triple single, and I'll meet back up with you here at the next armpit area. Alright, I'm coming to my next armpit area, and we would be doing a single crochet 3 together over these 3 back post double crochet togethers from the previous row. For some reason I counted wrong and I have an extra stitch. If you don't, that's awesome, but I'm not going to take my hey, I make mistakes too, and since this is at the armpit area, I don't know, somewhere I counted wrong or something. If you have an extra stitch, it's okay. If you don't, it's okay too. But I'm going to leave this little mistake in here. I'm going to show you how I take care of that. I'm not taking it apart because I looked and I can't find no mistake. So I'm sure there's one somewhere. But since it's in the armpit area, it's not going to be a big deal. So my last stitch was a triple crochet, and the next stitch should have been a back post double crochet 2 together from the previous row, but it's not. As you can see, I have an extra stitch. That's okay. I'm going to take care of it. Instead of going over a single crochet 3 together, I'm going to single crochet 4 together, and I'm going to pretend like that never even happened. So I'm going to go into this stitch that I have no idea why it's there, and yarn up a loop, and then I'm going to go into the back post 2 togethers, the 3 of them. There's one of them, drop a loop. There's the next one, drop a loop, and the last one, drop a loop. Now okay, that's what I do when I have mistakes, and I know they're not going to be noticeable. Hopefully yours turned out right. If not, you can do it like this. You got one. We went through 4 of them, so we got 1 2 3 4 5 loops on our hook. Like I said, normally that would have been going through 3, but yarn over and go through all the loops on your hook like that, and that will be your single crochet. Then we're gonna triple crochet, start our repeat again into the next stitch. I apologize, but you know what, it ain't always the way that you want it to be. I make mistakes. I'm owning up to it. Somewhere I counted wrong and it didn't turn out right. I fixed it. No one's gonna notice that. I hope not. If they're up there looking at my armpit counting those dark stitches, and there is something wrong with them, not me. So we're gonna go ahead and just keep doing our repeat. Triple crochet, a single crochet, repeat. So alright, until we get to our chain 2 space, then we do our 2 doubles, chain 2 2 doubles, and hopefully when we make it back to the beginning, we should end in a triple crochet. Hey, hopefully. Alright, so I made it around. My last stitch was the triple crochet, and now I am going to, here's my single crochet 3 together that we started with, so I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch. I'm not going to be doing any more decreasing now. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next row of the repeat, which is the chain space row. I'm going to chain 1, go back into the same stitch, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, which should be the single, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, which should be the single, and we're going to do this all the way around. And when you get to the chain 2 space, remember we do it the same way we did this one when we were decreasing before. We didn't decrease on this row last time, and we're not decreasing on it again. Here, I'm just going to make it up to the chain 2 space, and I'll show you what we did. Alright, here's how we do the chain space again. We have 1 stitch left here, so we're going to chain 1, skip that last stitch, and then this go directly into the chain 2 space, and work your 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 doubles. And then we're going to go around and repeat this again all the way around till we make it back to our starting point. So again, we just chain 1, skip that first one, and double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip the next one, and double crochet in the next, which will be a single crochet. Alright, so I'm going to do this all the way around, and then when I get to my next point, I'll do the same thing that I just did here, and continue around, and I'll meet back up with you at our starting point. Alright, so I've made it around. I double crocheted here into the single. I chained 1. I'm going to skip this triple crochet here from the row below, and I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. Just like that. Sorry about my dog. Alright, so I'm going to do the final row of the repeat, which is double crochet. I'm not going to decrease it, okay? If you want to continue going on to make it longer, you can decrease the row if you want, or you don't have to decrease the row. It's, you know, try it on. If it's starting to flare out a lot on the sides, decrease it. If it's not, then you don't have to. But this is a final row. Once you get to your final row, you've done it. You've done as many repeats as you want, and you're on your last row of double crochet. No matter what, we're not going to decrease it. All right, so we're going to chain 1, go back into the same stitch, and double crochet. No decreasing on this row. We're going to double crochet into every double crochet and every chain 1 space until we get to our chain 2 space. And I will meet up with you there, and I'll show you. I'm going to put some extra double crochets in there to round that point off. But for now, I'm just doing the double crochet on top of every double crochet and into every chain 1 space. I'm not decreasing on this last round here. Alright, I'll meet up with you at the chain 2 space. Alright, made it to your chain 2 space. I am going to go into that chain 2 space, and I'm going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets through that space. Alright, and then I'm going to continue around. Don't forget that first guy, he hides, putting a double crochet in every stitch and in every chain 1 space. And when I make it back around to my next point, 5 double crochets into that chain 2 space all the way around until we make it back around to our starting point. Alright, I made it back to my starting point. I'm going to go ahead and end in my first double crochet. I'm done with that part. Tie that off. Let's start the sleeves. Remember, you can do it longer if you want. It's up to you. Alright. Now the sleeves are going to be kind of the same way. They're going to be a little bit of trial and error for everybody, because one sleeve is not going to fit, you know, everybody the same. I'm going to color control these sleeves. You don't have to if you don't want to. So what I'm going to do is to color control, I'm going to pull out my yarn to where I get to the next color, which is where the yarn starts to mix. Well, I'm going to color control them the best I can. How about that? And that's where I'll start the yarn on both sleeves, about the same. I'll use this scrap yarn for a stitch tutorial or something. All right, I won't waste it, don't worry. So when I do my next sleeve, I'll pull out the yarn and start it at about the same color spot where the color starts to change. Okay. All right, let's do these sleeves up. Okay. So remember, we got a hole here. It's okay. So we need an even number of stitches. We have an odd number that's chained up here. Am I correct? Yep, we do. Let's fix that right now. We're going to go into, see where we're chained up here? These 2 stitches are chained up. We're going to go in to the one behind it that we've already worked in. You can see we went around it with the back post. And then on the other side of it, into the one that has been worked in. You can see it's got a post stitch on the front of it. That's where we're going to start our yarn. Those 2 together, we're going to put them together. So we're going to pull the yarn through both of them and chain 1. And we are just going to do a double crochet right back through both of those stitches together. Okay, it's like just did a double crochet. And take our stitch marker out. We had 45 stitches with that stitch marker. We just double crocheted those together. Now gives us 46, which is the even number that we need. And it took care of that hole. All right. Okay. Since now we want to keep the same repeat, so we're going to be doing a row of starting a back post double crochet. And since we just started here where there was a back post double crochet, and over here we ended where there was a back post double crochet, we don't have to do a back post double crochet there. But we can start by doing a back post double crochet all the way around our sleeve. All right. That's going to be in the armpit area, so you're not really going to see it. So, all right, that's just kind of, you know, to give us our even number and to hide that hole. So I'm going to work around and I'm going to put a back post double crochet around the whole entire sleeve area until we make it all the way around to here. We should have 46 stitches when we make it back around, because we had 45 and then we took these 2 over here, closed them up, which closed up that hole and gave us our even number that we need. All right, I'll meet back up with you. Back post double. All right, that's what we're doing. We're going to keep the repeat that we did up here on the sleeves as well. All right, I come around and I have 46 stitches, so I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into this first stitch here that we did 2 together. And that is the, there we go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be doing my increasing or decreasing my sleeve down whenever we get to our double crochet rows. So I'm going to follow the pattern again. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to go back into this same stitch here and I'm going to single crochet. This is the bumpy row, and then I'm going to triple into the next like this. Sorry about my dog barking. And then single crochet into the next and a triple crochet into the next. And I'll repeat this all the way around. And when you get back around to your starting point, your last stitch should be a triple, and you should be able to end with a slip stitch into your first single, and you still should have 46 stitches. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this all the way around, and I will see you in a second. All right, so I made it back around on my poofy stitch row. My last stitch here was a triple, so I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Kind of push that triple out if you can. Still have 46 stitches. Push that triple out. There we go. All right, now it is the chain space row. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into the same stitch and double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, and we'll be double crocheting back in to the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row. We're going to do this all the way around. Chain 1, skip 1, double into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double into the next. All right, I'll meet back up with you right back here where we started. All right, so I'm coming around to the end of my chain space row. I have 1 stitch left here from the previous row. I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to double crochet into my first double crochet. Now we're going to be doing our double crochet row, but we're going to do a row of decreases on this round. So we had 46 stitches, so what we're going to do now is the double crochet row, but we're going to decrease. So we're going to chain 1, and we want to do 1 double crochet into the first 4 stitches. So, but remember, we're counting the chain 1 space as a stitch as well. So we're going to go back into that same double crochet that we just slip stitched into and work 1 double, and then in the chain space a double, and then in the next double crochet a double, and in the next chain space a double. So that was 4 there in a row that we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do a double crochet decrease over the next 2, but remember the spaces, we're counting them as 1 as well. So we're going to yarn over and go into the next double crochet, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2. Then we're going to yarn over and go into that space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3. Now we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until we get to the last four stitches, but remember we count these as stitches. All right, so again, 1 double crochet into the next 4. So there's 1, chain space counts as 1, 2, excuse me, double crochet, 3, chain space counts as 1, so that's 4 in a row we just did. And then let's double crochet decrease over the next 2, so it'll be this stitch here and the chain space. So go into it, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then all 3. All right, I'll meet you at the last 4 stitches, and when I say last 4, I mean this being 1, this being 2, this chain space being 3, and this being 4. All right, so I'll meet you here at this double crochet. All right. Okay, so I've made it back around. Now I have 4 stitches left. If you look, this chain 1 space is 1, this double crochet is 2, this chain space is 3, and this double crochet space is 4. I just ended in a double crochet 2 together. So now what we're going to do is put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So 1 into that double crochet, and then 1 into the chain space, and then we're going to do a double crochet 2 together over the last, so over this double crochet and this chain space. So yarn over and go into that double, draw up a loop and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the chain space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then all 3, and then we're going to go ahead and end that round by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And now you should have a total of 38 stitches. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do our repeat again, this time with 38 stitches. So we'll do a round of back post double crochet, a round of the triple single crochet repeat, a round of the chain 1 spaces, and then I'll meet back up with you there. Now you'll have 38 stitches at the end of those 3 rounds. So go ahead and start with, like I said, back post double, and then your poofy row, triple single, and then your chain space row, and then I'll see you after that. I do want to show you one thing though real quick. When you're doing your back post double crochet around where we did the double crochet 2 together, make sure you get both of those in there like that. Otherwise you won't have, try to get it as close to the top as possible. Otherwise you won't have the correct count. And we need, there we go, see that? We need to have 38 when we make it back around. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do my back post row. I'm gonna do my bumpy row and then my chain space row, and I'll meet you after that. All right, I'm coming to end here of my chain space row, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and slip stitch into the next stitch. All right, so now we would be doing a double crochet row, and this is where we would do decreases if we were going to do them. So I'm actually not going to do any decreases this time. So I'm going to repeat again without doing any decreases. So I'm going to go back into this space and double crochet, and I'm going to work around, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet into every chain 1 space and every double crochet all the way around. So this is the last row of the repeat before, you know, we would start with the back post again. And this is the row that we would decrease on if we were going to decrease, but I'm not decreasing on this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out this row of double crochet, which would end that 4-row repeat that we're doing for the sleeves, that we've done for the whole body. And I'll still have 38 stitches. And then I'm going to start over again. After I make it back around, I'm going to do the repeat again. I'll do a row of back post, 38 stitches, a row of the poofy bobbles, 38 stitches, a row of the chain spaces, 38 if you count each double crochet and a chain space. And then I'll meet back up with you at the next row of double crochet, and we will decrease that row. So what I'm doing is just another round of the repeat, but we're not decreasing. We didn't decrease on this one. So we'll still have 38 stitches when we make it back around. And then we will just do our back post row again, like I said, the poofy row again, the chain space row again, and then I will meet back up with you on the next repeat of this double crochet row, and we will decrease on that one. All right, so I'm gonna book it along and do another row of repeats. All right, 38 stitches still. All right, so I've made it back around to my chain space row again. So remember, we did 2 sets where we had 38 repeats where we had 38 stitches. So we're going to decrease on the next double crochet row. So I did a double crochet here, a chain 1. I'm going to skip that stitch, slip stitch into the first one, and that'll end my chain space row. Now we're going to do the double crochet row, but we're going to decrease same way as we did, close to the same way as we did before. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to go back and we're going to do a double crochet into the first 4. So we go back into this first stitch here. And then the chain 1 space counts as a stitch. And then the next double crochet. And then the chain 1 space. So that was 4 double crochets there in a row. And now we're going to do the double crochet 2 together. So we have to go into this double crochet, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over, and then we go into the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then yarn over and go through all 3. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around here. So double crochet in the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then double crochet decrease, or double crochet 2 together, whatever you call it, same thing, in the next 2. So in that double, and then in the chain space. So we're gonna go ahead and repeat this until we get to the last 2 stitches of our row. All right, so I've come to the end. I just did a double crochet decrease, and I have 2 stitches left, which is this double crochet, this chain, 1 space. I'm just going to put a double crochet into each of those. Now you want to end by slip stitching into your first double crochet, and you'll have a total of 32 stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we just did before. We're going to do 2 sets of repeats with 32 stitches. Okay, before we did it, we had 38. Now we have 32. So the next row will be a back post double crochet row, 32 stitches. The next row will be the puff stitch row, 32 stitches. And then the chain stitch row, 32 stitches. Count the chain 1 spaces. And then the double crochet row that we would normally decrease on, we're not going to decrease on it, just like we didn't last time we did it. 36 stitches, or 32 stitches, I'm sorry. Then we're going to start over again with another set of repeats. Back post row, 32 stitches. Puff stitch row, 32 stitches. Chain stitch row, 32 stitches. And then on the second, or on the next double crochet row, on the, not this one, not the next one, but the next one, we will decrease on that one. So we're just doing the sets of repeats twice, just like we just did. And we'll have 32 stitches now, and I will meet back up with you when we get to the double crochet row of the second set of repeats, and we will decrease on that row. Okay, so go ahead and do like I said, complete repeat row, and then another repeat row, but stopping on the double crochet row, and that's where I'll meet up with you. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so I've done my 2 sets of repeats, and I'm getting ready to do my double crochet row. Now this is the part that you decide if you want your sleeves longer or not, because everybody has different size arms. So I'm going to do 1 more row of decreases, and then I'm not doing this pattern anymore. I'm doing 1 more row of decreases, double crochet decreases, and then I'm going straight into ribbing. And this is what mine looks like. So this is how much ribbing I'm going to be putting on mine. So I don't know, everybody's arms are different. If you want to do another row of repeat, I would not decrease on this round. I would do it on your next round and then start your ribbing. You don't have to make your ribbing as long as mine, or you can make it longer. It's up to you. But account for about, 4 inches of ribbing probably. Close to 4 inches of ribbing. All right. Is what's getting ready to be put on after I do this final row of decreases. So just take that into account. If you want yours longer, do another set of repeats with 32 stitches, and then come right back to this spot and do your decrease row. But remember, if you want to do it like me, I am putting like 4 inches of ribbing on it. So all right, so on this we are going to do the last row of decreases. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to double crochet into the first 4. So we go into that into that first one. There's 1, and then into the chain space makes 2, into the next double makes 3, into the next chain space makes 4, and then we're going to decrease over the next 2, just like we did before. Now we're going to repeat this pattern until we get to the last 8 stitches of our row. All right, the last 8 this time. So again, double the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Gets hard doing these sleeves. You gotta flip it all around. and then a decrease over the next two. So into the double crochet, draw up, go through the first two, and into the chain space, draw up into the first two, and all yarn over and go through all three. So you want to do it until you have a total of 8 stitches left. All right. All right, so I got 8 left. I got chain space, there's 1, double, 2, chain space 3, double 4, chain space 5, double 6, chain space 7, double makes 8, and I just did a decrease right here. That was my last stitch. So now what we're going to do is put a double crochet into the next 3. So 1 double crochet into that double crochet, 1 double crochet into the next chain space, 1 double crochet into the next double crochet, and then we're going to do a double crochet decrease over the next 2. So into the space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then into the double crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 and all 3, and then we're going to put a double crochet, just 1, into the next chain space like that. And then we're going to double crochet decrease over the last 2. So this double crochet and this chain space. And once that is finished, slip stitch into your first double, and you should have a total now of 26 stitches. Now I'm going to do ribbing. I'm going to do 9 rows of ribbing. Starting right now. This will be row number 1. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to back post double crochet around my first stitch. Now I will always have 26 stitches. And then I'm going to front post double crochet around the next. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Back post double crochet, and then front post double crochet. And remember, on this round, when you get to the decrease spot, make sure you get both of those in there, just on this row right here. Back post, and then front post. I'm going to do this all the way around back to my starting point. And this is row number 1 of my ribbing. When I make it back around, my last stitch should be a front post double crochet, and then I will end with a slip stitch into my first stitch, and I will start again with row 2 of the ribbing with a back post double crochet, front post double crochet. So the ribbing will line up. We're just going to repeat this same row for 9 times. 9. You can do more, you can do less if you want. I'm going to do 9. And then I'll do one more row after that. Now the ribbing looks kind of wonky at first. So you get some rows on it, and it starts to look a little bit better. A lot better, actually. After you get some rows on it. Now remember, we're working with 26 stitches now for the ribbing. And we're just doing front post and back post double crochet ribbing. Let me make it all the way around here, and then I'll show you here. Sorry, Anne landed in a dark spot. I'm color controlling my sleeves, so I want them both to look the same. So you can see where I'm at. It should wind up looking pretty dang close. It ain't gonna be perfect. It ain't never gonna be perfect because how the fade in this yarn. It's hard to get it to match up exactly, but I do the best that I can. You don't have to color control. But remember, I told you how you could do that. I messed up. Talking. I messed up because I was talking. My fault. Alright, front post. Back post. Front. Back. Front. back, front, back, and your last stitch will be a front post double. 26 stitches still. Remember, the ribbing's kind of tight. It fits tight because it stretches. So if it feels like it's tight, that it's supposed to be, because the ribbing, you know, ribbing stretchy, so you want it a little tight. And with the slip stitch into your first back post double crochet, and then we're just going to repeat that row. So that was row 1 of the ribbing. I'm going to do 9 rows. All right, so this is row 2. Start off with a back post double crochet. All we're doing now is making sure that our post stitches stay lined up. So front post goes with the front post, and the back post, they stay with the back post. See that? Front post, back post. Alright, okay, I'm going to take off then. I'm on row 2. Remember, I'm doing a total of 9. You do whatever you want. But for tutorial purpose, I am doing 9, and then I'll do one more row of something else after that. Alright, I'm on row 2. I'll see you at the end of row 9. Alright, 9 rows of ribbing. 9. You do more, you do less. You do you. Alright, I'm going to tie this off, and I'm going to do 1 row of single crochet at the top. So, clipping this off, I'm actually going to bring in, since this ended in white, I'm going to bring in some dark blue. I don't know why. I'm weird. I like to do that type of thing. And I'm going to do 1, I'm just going to start where I ended here. Single crochet in every stitch. This is my finishing row. No more after this. You will need to do both sleeves the exact same though. As far as rows, how many rows you do, you know, you want to do them the same. Keep your stitch counts the same as we did for this one. So I'm going to work around and finish the sleeve, putting 1 row of single crochet around the top, and then I'm going to end it with a slip stitch, and then I will meet back up with you. Alright, once you get your sleeves done, you're done. One last thing I did was I just went around the collar with a row of single crochet just to clean it up. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, or you could add some type of whatever you want to add to it. It's up to you. Your poncho, not mine, remember? But I hope you enjoyed my video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Check out all my other tutorials. Hit that like button. Leave me a comment below. That always helps. And until next time, bye guys.